So I want to get into this right now. There's a couple of things that are happening with CU. They lost the defensive lineman coach, Lewis. He's going to Miami to coach, as you already know, his school that he played for. And I want to put him up here because I think last year was a breakout year for the defense and the way the team played. There was some great personnel moves by Coach Prime, and I hated to see Coach Lewis leave. How you doing, Shirley? Thank you for coming over. I hated to see him leave. I mean, he has a lot of experience coming out of the NFL, playing with the Rams. This brother right here was an All-Pro. I mean, he did a lot to help the defensive line in this past season. So he's moving on. We want to definitely give him claps because of what he did for the team this past year. Alicia, thank you for coming over. We definitely want to give him claps for that. And so you would say, who would be a great replacement? Domata Peko. This is a young man, a guy. I think he's of Polynesian culture, who has a lot of years of experience in the NFL. So we're getting another guy, another coach, should I say. Mr. Peko, Coach Peko, comes to us from the NFL with a lot of experience. He played most of his career with the Cincinnati Bengals, played some of his career with the Denver Broncos. He also had a stint with the Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, the Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals. And I think he also had a stint for a short while with the Baltimore Ravens. But the team that he was the most out in terms of being an outstanding and a standout player, he was a beast in the NFL. And I'm hoping and I believe that he will bring the same attitude, toughness, focus of detail to CU in this upcoming college football season coming up in 2025. Let me give you a little bit of background about Coach Peko. This is Coach Prime clearly wants to have people a part of this program that have NFL experience. Now, he has experience as a player, but he also has some coaching experience in the NFL. Briefly, he was coaching with the Dallas Cowboys. I want to get into some more details about Peko right here. The former Bingo defensive tackle, Domata Peko, is the new defensive line coach for Colorado this upcoming season. Peko moved from a coaching role with the Cowboys, as I said before, just this past season in the NFL. Peko played 15 seasons in the NFL from 2006 to 2020, including 11 with the Bengals. You see him right there with the Bengals jersey and Bengals paraphernalia in the background, where he was a monster. He put up about 517 tackles, 18.5 sacks in his career with the Cincinnati Bengals. He joined another former Bengal coach, and that's Robert Livingston, who, as you already know, Robert Livingston was the safeties coach, defensive backs coach with the Bengals. So I think that would be a great combination to have both of these guys in the mix. I think it's a great combination. Now, what I want to do is I simply wanted to put up a picture of Coach Robert Livingston, who I think did a great job last year as a secondaries coach. Right there, there he is. So what you have here is two coaches now, Peko as being the defensive line coach, and now Robert Livingston. These guys can play off of each other because they both have experience with each other, Peko being a player playing for the Bengals, and as well as Robert Livingston being a safeties coach, secondary coach. And I think he'll be able to understand exactly what he's trying to get done as the defensive coordinator of CU. So I think it'll be a great combination to have Peko here. He was a beast of a player, has a lot of experience. I think we won't lose any ground with where Coach Lewis left us. I think that Coach Peko can take it to the next level. He's got the background, the pedigree. I think it'd be great. I mean, the reports are saying that him and Robert Livingston has just signed a new deal, so we're going to still have Coach Livingston with the team. It looks like Robert Livingston is going to become, according to reports, he's going to become the highest paid assistant coach under Coach Prime. So let's give him a clap. I think that's a great for us as a program. And great for Robert Livingston. We're going to have some longevity with him here, some continuity, and you need that as we get ready to go into the 2025 college season. So this man is a beast again. Great pickup. What I want to do is I want to give you a little bit of information about him. He has a son, Peko Jr., who looks to be a beast in high school. I'm wondering, with Coach Peko taking over the defensive line, because I think his son plays on the defensive line in high school or somewhere. He plays defense and he's very talented. I wonder if this could be a pipeline to CU being able to get his son into the program. I just wonder because his son looks like he's got some talent. Let me play this clip for you right here. Check this out right here.
Selection, the Bengals select defensive tackle Domata Peko.
Over 20 years after Peko Sr. called this place home, his son is creating his own legacy.
I'm just trying to do everything my dad did, but just a little bit better in each way,
A big man with even bigger dreams. 6'4" Peko isn't used to looking up at people often. But when it comes to his father, he knows there are big shoes to fill.
But I don't think Junior has to worry about that in any way, shape, or form because he's carving his own path through here.
It's a path that Peko Jr. was almost destined to take.
All right. So he has a son that's very talented right now in the high school level who's, as they said, making a name for himself. And I'm curious to see, really, to be quite honest with you, if he may make his way to CU, because I think it would be interesting to see if he wants to play with his father at CU. And if CU would be interested in him, I'm sure they're going to scout him, being that that's his son, and his son is doing some big things in high school. So right now, I think this was a great pickup for CU. I like where things are going because they're going to have a very talented defensive line in this 2025 upcoming college football season. So this was a great pickup. After losing someone who brought so much to the table like Coach Lewis, to turn around and get someone like Coach Peko, who has, once again, NFL pedigree as a player and just recently was working at the lower levels as a coach with the Dallas Cowboys. So I think this is it's going to be great to see how this all comes together, what the chemistry is going to be with him and the coaching staff as well as the players. Now I want to get to the meat and sauce of the program tonight. As you know, the NFL draft will be right around the corner, but not only that, most importantly, the NFL Combine is right around the corner. Now, from what I understand in terms of the schedule, you're going to have the part that I want to see is on March 1st, which will be a Saturday. They're going to have the quarterbacks. They're going to have the receivers. And that's the area that I definitely most want to see because now that goes into the play for Travis Hunter. We'll be able to see what he does at the combine. We'll be able to see Shedeur Sanders throw that ball around and see what he's able to generate at the NFL Combine. And then, of course, we've got other standout players on this team. Lajohntay Wester, who people believe that his speed, along with Jimmy Horn as well, that this is an area, and I said this in my video that I did about Jimmy Horn, that's an area that the NFL highly covets. Guys with speed, guys that are shifty, guys that got that wiggle. They can move their hips. They can run the route tree. That's going to be very important to see how these receivers, whether it be Will Sheppard, whether it be Jimmy Horn Jr., as well as Wester. These are some of the other Colorado stars, and we're going to try to project and see where the NFL feel that they're going to land. You've got Shedeur, Shilo Sanders. Now we know, I want to get into this real quick. We know that Shedeur right now is projected to go in the 1 through 5 picks in the first round. So he made, a lot of people have him maybe going to the New York Giants. Then there's talk about, will it be Cleveland? Now there's talk that will Cleveland decide to go with Travis Hunter, a dual threat, someone that can play both wide receiver as well as play, as you already know, defensive back. Will Cleveland go for a double whammy package with this young man, or will it be Tennessee that will surprise everybody? Who knows? They're already putting out there this battle, this rivalry between, and it's a friendly rivalry between Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. Depending on which of these mock drafts you look at, some have Cam Ward going number 1 to Tennessee, which would help Shedeur to drop down to being that second quarterback picked off the board, particularly dropping into the hands of the New York Giants. We got to see what's going to happen, because you got Aaron Rodgers, who's been let go by the New York Jets. And then there's question about whether Aaron Rodgers going to go to Tennessee. We know that he wants to go to a program that's a winner right now. But if Aaron Rodgers gets picked up by one of these teams that need a quarterback, that will change where these guys get drafted, obviously, if Aaron Rodgers plays a role in sort of changing the apple cart here. So we have to see how this is all going to play out. You got Travis Hunter up here with me right now. We got to see. We know that Travis is going to go in that top 5, right? Now, we might get a pleasant surprise and see Travis Hunter go number 1 at Tennessee. That, we may be surprised, because, a lot of these NFL teams don't like to really publicize what player they're really going to go for. So they'll do some misdirection by making you think that they like this guy more than that guy, while at the same time, they really want the guy. For example, if the mock drafts are saying that Cam Ward is the guy that they want Tennessee, maybe Tennessee wants people to think that. But then you wonder, does it really matter when Tennessee has the first pick and they can go in any direction that they would like to, that they please? So these are areas that we have to see what's going to happen in this draft. I did a video about where Shedeur Sanders could go. There's a lot of things that can happen, like I said, in this NFL draft. I've seen drafts before where guys were supposed to go in the first or second or third rounds, and then they end up dropping out of that round and going a little bit later, or they end up going earlier than people expected, right? I personally feel that if Shedeur Sanders as well as Travis, I know everybody wants to see them get drafted in the high, the beginning 1st through 5 picks, right? I personally would like to see these guys go to better NFL teams where they'll have time to learn the system and they won't be rushed out there so soon. When you get drafted by some of these really bad teams like Tennessee, of course, the Giants, Cleveland Browns, there's going to be a lot of pressure put on these players to perform right now. And there's going to be a lot of expectations opposed to guys that are going to get drafted in the later rounds, like a Jimmy Horn, for example, maybe a Wester. They may go to teams that are a little bit better, teams that may give them time to develop and put them in better. This is how the NFL draft usually goes. So I'm going to project, because we know that Travis again and Shedeur are going to be picked a lot higher than most of the guys that have come out of CU. But I want to look at the projection of where these guys can go. We're talking about a defensive end, B.J. Green. Let's talk about B.J. Green and what he's projected as. What I want to do is flip to these guys up here on my board. I appreciate everybody that's here. Thank you. Peggy Roster. Appreciate everybody that's here. So what I want to do, B.J. Green, remember he came over as a transfer from the Arizona State Sun Devils, and he's projected as an NFL prospect, but it looks like there's a lot of guys. There's a few guys other than Travis Hunter and Lajohntay Wester, as well as Jimmy Horn. There's a few guys, and Jimmy Horn is looked at as a guy that will be drafted on the third day. He's a third-day guy that they're looking at, right? That's the projections from the scouts. I'm going based on what the scouts are saying, right? When it comes to Wester, he's another young man that they're projecting to be drafted and won't have to concern himself with being an unrestricted free agent. There are some players on CU that are going to be in a situation where they're going to be picked up as an unrestricted free agent. The positives and the downfall to that is that not going to the NFL scouting combine, it gives you less exposure to all the different teams, right? So what will happen is that these guys on CU's team that are going to be unrestricted free agents, they got to put on a hell of a pro day. So when they have their pro days at CU, they've got to run great times. They've got to be on their game to attract some of these NFL teams. It also allows these NFL teams to pick the guys that most fit them, as well as for players on CU to be able to choose teams with their agents that best fits their skill set. And I want to get into that right now because it looks like right now that BJ Green, the second, he is projected as an undrafted free agent. BJ Green, as far as the scouting report is concerned, he is recognized as a great pass rusher, okay, in the undrafted free agent market. So they look at him as he is looked at as one of the better pass rushing players coming out of this year's prospect, as one of the best, if not the best, pass rushing free agent. So that means if he's not invited to the combine, he doesn't get drafted at all in this draft, that there will be teams out there still looking for BJ Green services because of his pass rushing prowess. That's important because the NFL has become a passing game, and you can never have enough guys that can rush the passer, get pressure on the passer, okay? The scouting report is saying that Green can generate a pass rush from inside or outside wide and does a good job defending the run. So he's not only a guy that can pass rush, but he defends the run pretty well. This is what the buzz is on him as a potential undrafted free agent, that they're looking at him, that's the projection as of right now. But things can change, because when BJ Green has a pro day, in a pro day, if he can put up good numbers, right? His bench press, his 40 time, if he can show agility through all the different obstacles that they're going to put him through, everything that they're going to put him through, if he can do that, that can also actually maybe put him into this draft as someone that a team may draft, or a team may say, we're not gonna draft him, right? He's not gonna be drafted, but he's a guy that we're gonna call after the draft, book his plane ticket, get him out here, see if he can make a 53-man roster. If not a 53-man roster in the NFL, they have what they call practice squad, where you can work your way into a roster based on what you show in practice. So these are the options that these guys are going to have. But BJ Green right now is rated top on the board as one of the better pass rushing potential free agents. Okay. So I just wanted to bring that up about him tonight. I appreciate those that are watching, that are listening to the podcast tonight. Thank you for being here. We have Peggy Roster, Alicia's in the house, Shirley's in the house, everyone, Yakes is in the house. Appreciate you. Chief has just given me a $10 super chat, my brother. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you for the super chat.
I appreciate that very much so. You giving me that super chat. I appreciate that. I hope you are enjoying my presentation. I've got more to give. He says, Travis is crazy to risk working out at the combine. His game film is good enough. His Heisman win. I agree with you. That's why Shedeur didn't work out at the, what it was at, the East-West Shrine game. And you had NFL teams that are interested in Shedeur telling him, don't even bother to play in the game, right? That's why you didn't see Travis playing. You don't want him risking injury or anything like that, right? So, like I said, Travis Hunter and Shedeur are looked at as guys that are going to go in that top 5, somewhere in there, right? So they're not really going to need to, they're not necessarily going to need to have a pro day. I don't think it'll be mandatory for them, but I'm saying to you, it wouldn't hurt I definitely for Shedeur, it wouldn't hurt him, because the guy that he's being sort of matched up against right now is his friend. They're kind of friend. They have a good rivalry, but he's kind of being, he's being compared in contrast against Cam Ward right now. So that's why it wouldn't hurt Shedeur to have a pro day, because the knock on Shedeur right now, at least from the scouts in the NFL, is that he doesn't have as strong of an arm as Cam Ward. And maybe if he has a pro day and he can prove in a pro day up close and personal, or even at the combine, if he chooses to do the combine, he can move his stock up by showing that he has just as strong of arm as Cam Ward, if not better. That could change whether he gets drafted in the first round, the first pick of the first round, or he gets picked the second, because I know both of these guys have been talking about, hey, I'm going to go first. No, I'm going to go first. So we have to see what's going to happen. Travis, I don't think Travis Hunter has to do everything at the combine. What I would definitely like to see Travis Hunter do, I would like to see Travis Hunter run the 40. There's some guys who go to the combine and they'll only do certain things, right? I think if he runs a 40 and he runs it successfully, that's all he needs to do. Because a lot of teams in the NFL that would like to get their hands on Travis Hunter, even though he's a dual threat to play defensive back, there's teams out there that would like to see what they could do with him at receiver. And if he's got great speed, or he runs a great 40, that could really, emphasize how teams would like to really use Travis Hunter. So we have to see. But let's go. I'm going to go into the next guy right here. I talked about BJ Green. Let's talk about safety Cam'Ron Craig. Let's talk about my man Craig, who has been outstanding. Coach Prime told NFL scouts when they scout the team that he's the kind of young man that once you give him an opportunity to make a team, he's gonna work hard. He's gonna bust his what, and it's gonna be hard to cut him from a team. I got to be honest with you. Between Cam'Ron Cam'Ron and Shilo, to me, he was the guy who led the secondary, especially as Shilo was getting injured. He was the guy that stepped up, okay? Cam'Ron, he stepped up. Cam'Ron Silmon-Craig, he stepped up. He made the plays when was necessary. He, to me, was the guy who stood out the most in terms of the safety position in that secondary, all right? When Shilo was healthy, he was certainly able to make some plays when healthy. But overall, I thought that Cam'Ron was the man. So we're looking at Cam'Ron as a guy who they don't have him projected as a guy. This is the scouts, but these things can change with having a good pro day. All right. They don't have him as a guy being picked in the second, third, fourth, or fifth round. He's another guy that is being seen as possibly a unrestricted free agent. Let me give you the breakdown of why they're looking at it from that point of view. Let's give you the breakdown of why it's being looked at that point of view. Cam'Ron was a tackling machine in his final year, as we all know, at CU. Did you know he led the team with 82 total tackles? Despite that, he has worked to earn a draft projection. So even though he put up those type of numbers in terms of tackles, NFL scouts say because of his size, he's 5'10", he's 185 pounds. They see Cam'Ron Silmon-Craig. He must test well during his pro day at CU to show he has the speed to play safety at the next level, despite size and weight and height, that he's going to have to stand out beyond those measurables and show what he can do. So this is a guy that can really rise his stock up as an unrestricted free agent by having a great pro day. So we want Craig to have a great pro day. We want him to stand out in his pro day because he's going to have to create buzz for himself amongst NFL teams. Once again, the advantage of being an unrestricted free agent is that you get to look at the teams with your agent and see what teams are in need of a safety, whether it be the depth chart, meaning they need that depth of needing more safeties or a safety on the team for depth. What team does he have the best chance of being able to make their 53-man roster? And what team utilizes his skill set as a safety the best? That's the advantage of being an unrestricted free agent versus being picked by a team that you go to a team with a coach that doesn't know how to utilize your skill set properly. So that's the advantage that Cam'Ron Silmon-Craig, that's the advantage that he has with going the route being for him right now, an unrestricted free agent. So he'll have, hopefully, with the work of an agent, whoever his representation is, they can be able to find out what teams would want to invite him to their camp. And then from there, it's going to be on him to do what he has to do to make the team and deal with the competition. So it's going to be tough, but these guys have opportunities. So I'd like to see how this is all going to pan out for Craig, because I think that throughout the season, he, to me, was the heart of their secondary. He came up with big plays. And I'm sure the NFL scouts are going to look at his, they're going to look at his video. Coaches are going to look at his video. They're going to look at what he needs to improve on, but they're going to look at what his strengths are. And so let's hope, let's just say that he has an excellent, and I do mean an excellent pro day at CU, because that's what he's definitely going to need. All right. This is what we're talking about here. And thank you for that super chat again, sir. I really appreciate that super chat that you gave me a hell of a lot. So I appreciate that. Let's get to this one right here. I have some information that I want to lay on you about Shilo. So as you know, it was very, I think Shilo was obviously disappointed that he was not going to get an invite to the NFL Combine. I personally, I think that both him and Craig, Cam'Ron, I think if there's anybody that I think is getting stiffed here, snubbed as they call it, I think both of them got snubbed. But I specifically believe that Cam'Ron definitely got snubbed. They both got snubbed, but I think Cam'Ron got snubbed because he actually, out of the two of them, because Shilo had injuries, that allowed Cam'Ron Silmon-Craig to be able to step up and show really what he could do. And I felt like with him putting up numbers like 89 tackles and having outstanding games against some good teams, you know, some decent teams, that should have been enough for him to get an invite to the NFL Combine, right? And I also think that Shilo should have gotten an invite as well. And I think BJ Green as well. But as of right now, he got that bad news. And so you have to try to make something of your situation even when you don't get invited. So Shiloh's been working on trying to prepare himself for his pro day. And the area that he's most focusing on right now is his 40 time. So let me tell you what the scouting report is on Shilo Sanders. Shilo Sanders performed well during the East-West Shrine Bowl game, showcasing his abilities to make plays as a tackler. So they are really, right now in the NFL, they're very impressed with Shilo Sanders' tackling ability, that he's a thumper, and you need that in the NFL, okay? They're impressed with his ability to make plays as a tackler, and in the passing game, they were impressed with what he showed in the East-West Shrine game. There's some doubt about his ability to play in space at the NFL level. So that's what some of the scouts reports are putting out there. Shilo Sanders can still make plays with his bone-crushing tackles, his hits, which should earn him a spot on someone's training camp roster. Now, another issue that they were concerned about Shilo Sanders, and I understand the concern, is that he has had some injuries. He's had injuries in both seasons playing at CU that has given him some setbacks. He had some setbacks this past season. And so I think the NFL scouts and they're going to definitely put him through a complete, health check battery of tests. That's an area that they're concerned about, but they recognize that he has great ability to make tackles and could fit someone's schedule, someone's roster. Now, this is what I want to say. There is a team, ladies and gentlemen, that is interested in Shilo, and I wouldn't be surprised if they show up to his pro day to take a look at Shilo, to really examine Shilo heavily. And that's the Pittsburgh Steelers, y'all. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the team that seem to be the most interested right now in Shilo Sanders. And so this is what the scouting report is coming from how Pittsburgh's looking at him. Colorado Buffalo star Shilo Sanders is linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that would be a great fit because they are a blue-collar team. They play tough defense. That has been their tradition over the years. Rev Nelson, thank you for being here. No problem. Thank you. I haven't been live in a little while, but we're going to get it cranking here. Keith says exactly. Rev says Cam agent is a little Wayne company. Oh, Little Wayne is going to be representing him? Is that what you're saying, Rev? But do you agree that that Pittsburgh would be a great fit for Shilo, given their tradition as a defensive team, a defensive-minded team. They've always had great safeties, a tradition of great safeties in Pittsburgh. Do you think, by putting sevens in the chat room, how you doing, Sister O, saying good evening, do you believe that this would be an excellent fit for Shilo to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers? I think that it would be an excellent fit for him to play there. I got to be honest. Now, here's the report, everybody. Defensive back Shilo Sanders may not have been invited to the NFL scouting combine, but that does not mean he will not go undrafted. Shilo Sanders for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who could absolutely use some depth in their secondary. Shilo Sanders is coming off of a 2024 campaign in which he registered 67 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble, and a couple of fumble recoveries, and a defensive touchdown. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? This is excellent information here. Shilo Sanders is a very hard hitter. This is why they're looking at him, with great nose for the ball and knows exactly what you want from a safety on the NFL level. A guy who has a nose for the ball, a guy who can tackle, wrap them up. Now, that's one of the things that Shilo will definitely have to work on at the NFL level. Is definitely you can bump or power tackle people, but in the NFL, you're really gonna really have to learn to wrap people up completely, because you've got big backs in the NFL. You've got guys that can run you over. You got guys that are shifty, speedy. You got all kind of angles there. And so that's one of the reasons why the scouting report was saying that they're concerned about whether he plays well in space. They're going to, like I said, they're going to dissect everything for every player that's coming out of college football into the pros. This is for everybody in the chat room listening. So, and everyone listening out there, let me go on to say here, Shilo Sanders does not have outstanding size for a safety position and has had a history of injury. Those are the negatives that they're concerned about. Okay. But check this out. The Steelers could use an infusion of talent after yet another disappointing playoff exit. They could take a chance on Shilo Sanders in the late round and see if his potential workout, see if he does well in his potential workout. So everybody, this is the deal. This is the situation. As you heard me say, Shilo Sanders, this is why he's been at CU working hard on his conditioning, working hard to get his 40 time, because if he runs a really good 40, that can actually, once again, raise some eyebrows in a positive way for some of these NFL teams. He's got to have a great pro day. So he's got to have a great pro day. And once again, if he's a free agent and he doesn't get drafted, this allows him to pick the right team that fits his style, right? But they're saying in a scouting report, if he has a great pro day, if he shows those other intangibles that they're looking for, he could find himself as a late round draft pick still, even though he didn't get invited to the combine. Let me let you see what Shilo has been working on. Let me show you a clip here of him trying to get himself conditioned to get his body ready for what he has to deal with when it comes to, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, like I said, would be a great team for him. How do you all feel about that? But this is what Shilo has been doing at CU, and you guys have probably watched this too as well, but check this out.
Getting the twitches right.
There you go.
Hey, you about to do the start?
That's a nice contract, though. That's my size, actually. That's definitely 2X. You don't wear no 2X. They only go up to 2X. So if you do 3, it's That's fake. What I'm saying, bro. They don't think I'm they don't think I'm big, bro. I wear a 2X. In your form, you could possibly run a 4.4. But it just depends. He might want to glance just to see if he's doing good. If you keep your head down, then you're I keep my head down for sure. Yeah. But if you glance to see like how far I am, then you're like, no.
And I preached to him 100 times on that. Bound and 2 Billa.
Well, I am feeling pretty quick today.
So you can see he's working on getting the twitch muscles working. He's working on that 40 time. So when he has his pro day playing safety, they're concerned about his ability to play in space. I think that it makes sense why Shilo has heavily been working on getting faster or being prepared to run a really decent 40 time. Now, this is an area that he can get better in. In terms of his size, he can get stronger. They can get him if he gets picked up by a team, they can get him into their weight program, their nutrition program. They can get him stronger. One of the things that will be a concern, I think, to NFL teams is his injuries, right? They're going to really put him through a battery of health checks to really see, because, you know, the way the NFL works, they don't want to invest money in a player that they don't think is going to be healthier enough to play. And, you know, this is just the way it works in the NFL. They scrutinize everything and things that we haven't even thought of. So he definitely wants to come away with a good, clean bill of health when they put him through a physical, but he definitely wants to have a great showing, particularly when it comes to his 40 time, which is why he's been diligently working on trying to improve that as of right now. So I think anything is possible for Shilo Sanders. Once again, the rumor out there right now is that the Pittsburgh Steelers are a team that see him as someone that would add depth to their team. So we'll have to see how this all falls out, right? Because there might be other teams that are interested in Shilo, but just haven't put it out there yet. Like I said, these NFL teams, they play cloak and dagger with each other, right? They make you think that they're interested in one guy, but then there's another team that's interested in that guy. They all want to play cloak and dagger because they don't want the other team that's interested in him to get him, right? So they'll play this cloak and dagger type thing. So let's go to the next player that I want to examine. And this is defensive tackle Chidozie, okay? Who I think played very well this past year. Here he is right here. I've always showed this picture, but here is a really good, clear picture of the brother right here. Now, this is the situation with him. They're looking at potentially Chidozie potentially looks like he's going to be an unrestricted free agent potentially. Chidozie, as the scouts have him, they have him down as a guy who is an excellent run stuffer, right? Chidozie received a training camp invite. He believes to be he's seen as a dark horse. So they're saying if he's given an invite to a training camp in the NFL, that he could be a dark horse to make a 53-man NFL roster because of his renewed interest in stopping the run game shown by teams in the NFL. So there are teams. Remember, the NFL is a league of specialists. Sometimes they will draft a guy because he can come in on third downs, fourth downs as a run stopper, right? They can make a specialist out of you. So Chidozie could make a career in the NFL of being a guy that comes in certain packages, specifically using his ability or utilizing his ability to stop the run. What do you all think about that? Okay. Rev says that will make it make it him and Jimmy Horn. Prime Sports Media, that will make it him and Jimmy Horn. Yeah, well, Jimmy Horn, I'm going to get to him and what they're saying about him currently right now. So right now, that's what they have projected for Chidozie. They see him as a guy that they believe is an excellent run stopper that could probably make an NFL team, but could, if he can make the roster, and that they could utilize his ability to stop the run, because NFL teams and coaches, they want to stop the run, and they want to, in the NFL, they create packages for you where they bring you in on certain downs. Some guys are not every down defensive linemen. Some guys are not an every down lineman, right? Some guys are great third down linemen that you can bring in special packages. And Chidozie could be that guy at the NFL level, according to scouting reports currently right now, okay? I just want to, let me take this off of here. So I just want you all to, this is not anything that I'm making up. This is what the reports are. And Chidozie will have a pro day. And the pro day, once again, you're going to have a variety of different teams that are going to show up at CU in Boulder, and they're going to examine these players. And this is what also happens in these pro days sometimes. Sometimes you have an NFL team that's there to watch a particular guy. For example, let's say Pittsburgh is there to watch specifically Shilo Sanders, right? Or a Jimmy Horn, for example. Because I said Pittsburgh might be a good place for Jimmy Horn to play his football career, right? So let's say they're there to watch one guy, but then another guy flashes out at them, right? So they could be there looking at those two guys. But at the same time, they say, who's this guy right here? This Chidozie guy, right? He seems to be pretty strong. We see the reports say he's good against the run. So sometimes players get discovered by NFL teams that were originally at that pro day to watch somebody else, but then another guy flashes on the field, should I say. So that's where Chidozie on his pro day, he could really raise some eyebrows out there of the other teams if he comes out and puts up some good numbers, right? When it comes to defensive linemen, they want to see your bench press, because that shows how much power you have, right? They want to see what you can bring to the table, right? You got teams that run a 3-4 defense, so they want guys like a Chidozie that can do run stopping when you're playing that type of defense. Just depends on what kind of system he will fit in. Let me go to the next guy right here who I like. And he came over from Vanderbilt as a transfer to CU. That's Will Sheppard. I think he's a good one as well. Will Sheppard, I think he's a real good one. Let me go into some details about Will Sheppard. So right now, this is a scouting report on Will Sheppard. They see him as a 7th. Now, this is what they're projecting. This can change, everybody. The projections right now for Will Sheppard is that he's either going to be a 7th round pick, and if he doesn't get picked in the 7th round somewhere, then he'll be seen as an unrestricted free agent. Now, I'm just telling you again, these are the projections. Anything can change based on how he performs at his pro day as well. Will Sheppard could sneak into the late rounds. Now, this is what they're saying. This is all based on how he performs. Okay? They've got him down as a 7th round, but maybe he could sneak up a little bit. He could sneak into the late rounds, but they see him as another unrestricted free agent. Will Sheppard is a load to deal with in the red zone and on back shoulder fades. So when he's running those routes, he's running a back shoulder fade and the quarterback's throwing those fades at him. There are questions about his ability to separate from defenses between the 20-yard line. So this is another issue. Some of the scouts are saying, does he have separation skills that would warrant him to be picked higher in the draft, or would warrant him not to be an unrestricted free agent, but to be outright drafted? So that's their little nitpicking that, he's good in the red zone. And you do have teams in the NFL who have packages where they get in the red zone and they bring certain type of receivers in who can be dominant in the red zone. And they're saying that he certainly is a load to deal with when he is making his move in the red zone. But they're concerned about his ability to get separation from the defensive backs at the pro level, which would make him, the way the NFL works, they would probably see him as a possession receiver, right? You've got what they call, these are the different categories. You have possession receivers, you have speed receivers. This is how the NFL looks at the players. And you have NFL teams that may say, hey, we need a possession receiver. We need a guy that can stretch the field, put pressure on the defense. So it just depends on how they see him and grade him, right? But they're seeing him as a guy that can sneak himself into that late round, maybe the 5th, 6th, 7th round. I'm not sure. This is what the word is out there on the football streets of scouting. But if he has a good pro day, he impresses a team, he shows that he can get some separation, we'll see what happens with him. So that is Will Sheppard, everybody. That's Will Sheppard. Now, let me get to it. I did a video about Jimmy Horn Jr. They were very impressed with Jimmy Horn Jr. at the East-West Shrine practices. All right, excuse me. I had a little bit of a cough. I had to drink some water there. Remember, I did a complete video on it. He was beating people. He was difficult for them to cover, very elusive because of his speed. So Jimmy Horn is a guy that could play himself into being picked maybe on the third day, a third-day draft pick, meaning he could actually move his draft stock up to being picked in the mid of the third round or maybe high third round, or maybe they're looking at him in that area, okay? We're talking about Jimmy Horn here. I think Jimmy Horn is another guy, in my opinion, if he goes to the right team with the right system and coaching philosophy, I believe he can have a lot of success at the NFL level because he already has the one area. I know I keep saying this, but I keep saying this because it's a fact, because you can't teach speed. If he goes to the right team that could utilize his abilities, and I said in my other video where I featured Jimmy Horn Jr., that at the NFL level, I see him not as a number 1 receiver or a number 2 receiver. I see Jimmy Horn as a slot receiver, a number 3 receiver, a guy that you bring in on the slot and let him do his damage underneath the coverages. And putting him in the slot can also make him dangerous if you decide to run plays to have him stretch the field and run those routes where he puts pressure, because he'll be going up against every team's third defensive back, right? So, and we've seen guys in the NFL have great success at being a slot receiver and creating a lot of problems. With his speed, he can create some problems. Let me break down what they're saying about him in the scouting report here, everybody. Speed is the name of the game, they're saying. In the NFL, as I said, everybody, Jimmy Horn Jr. has speed to burn. That's what they're saying about him. Jimmy Horn was an explosive option. He's a very explosive option in the receiving game when he is healthy. Showcasing the abilities to be dangerous in return game as well. Most programs right now, most teams in the NFL were tapping Jimmy Horn as an unrestricted free agent player, but someone will make him their 5th or 6th round pick when he runs a 4.3 in the 40-yard dash at the scouting combine. No, I think if he runs a 4.30, for example, I think that Jimmy Horn could find himself not as a 6th round pick or a 5th round. I disagree with that. I could see him as a guy that could get picked in the 3rd round, because when I did my video specifically about Jimmy Horn, they were saying that some scouts were seeing him as a late 3rd pick. However, there were some that were seeing him as a 7th round pick, but then they said that because of what he did at the East-West Shrine game and because of his speed, that could move him up somebody's board. I'm going to say it again. Jimmy Horn Jr. could be a sleeper guy. He's a guy that nobody is expecting him to be an explosive player in the NFL, and then a team, because he's going to get picked by a good team because he's going to get picked later in the rounds. I could see Jimmy Horn going to a team in the NFL that's pretty damn good. And getting the opportunity to take his time, grow and develop. They put him in the slot and he surprises people. What do you all think about that? I think that it's very possible that Jimmy Horn Jr. could surprise some people because, like I said, when you go to a team, when you get picked in a later round, you tend to go to a better organization who can afford to let you develop. They can afford to let you take your time learning the playbook and developing your skills. And then once they decide to say, boom, young fella, get out there and spread your wings, you'll be more prepared because you had time to go to a team where you're going to learn from veterans. You're going to learn from a team that has, I believe, coaches that know what the hell they're doing, because the teams that you're going to end up going to is usually the teams that are a little bit better, which is why they're not picking in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of the 1st round. They're picking in the later rounds because these are the more successful NFL teams. So they have the personnel and the time that Jimmy Horn can learn. So that's what I think about Jimmy Horn. I think the sky's the limit, as I have already talked about him before. Sky's the limit for Jimmy Horn Jr., everybody. So we're going to see, once again, he's going to have a pro day at CU. And that pro day is going to tell us everything we need to know about Jimmy Horn Jr. and many of these CU stars and what they're going to be capable of projecting at the next level. So we have to be very mindful that these young men, at the end of the day, it's going to be in their hands, and their destiny is basically in their hands when they show the NFL scouts what they're all about. Another thing that I think that's great about having the pro day at CU is that I want everybody to pay special attention to what NFL teams show up. That tells you a lot. What NFL teams show up. Another thing I want to say about the guys that are maybe unrestricted free agents like Chidozie, maybe a Will Sheppard, maybe he can get himself higher up in that grade. Another thing is that you have teams in the NFL who are known to pick gems in the late rounds. Remember, a lot of NFL teams are not built. Listen to what I'm saying here, okay? A lot of these NFL teams, and let me, I want to put this in here. and get a little bit closer. A lot of these NFL teams build their teams in the later rounds. We tend to believe that NFL teams get built by who they pick in the first, second, and third rounds, meaning we know that in the first, second, and third rounds, you want to get your quarterback, you want to get your defensive backs, you want to get your linebackers, you definitely want to get your pass rushers, and when it comes to tackles, you want to get your tackles between the first and second round to get the best level of players. That's true. But after these teams get their players in that first, second, and third round, now it's the fourth, fifth, and sixth, and seventh round. That's where they build what? The depth of their team. And a lot of NFL teams that are successful, when you look at the guys that were drafted, a lot of these guys who end up becoming stars in the NFL, end up making that NFL team get to the next level. When you look at where they were drafted at, a lot of these guys were not drafted in the first, second, and third round. You've got so many players in the NFL that are stars that were not picked in the first, second, or third round. They were picked in the fourth round, fifth, sixth, and even the damn seventh round. So that's why I'm saying that for some of the players on CU who may or may not get drafted early in the rounds, some of these guys still have opportunity to make an impact, especially with the teams that are picking in the later rounds that are building their teams for depth. That's why Pittsburgh, from what I understand, has an interest in, or has shown some interest, it's been rumored, to have interest in Shilo Sanders because they need to build up their roster and build up depth. And then once he gets an opportunity to show what he can do in their training camp, sky's the limit, y'all. Sky is the limit. Now, I want to go over this one because this is very important. This is a young man that I'm very excited about. Damn it, I was supposed to do a YouTube short on him. But this young man, Lajohntay Wester, I believe is going to be the truth, okay? I believe he's going to be the truth. I think he's going to be the real deal, everybody. I'm looking forward to what he's bringing to the table. This young man, same thing like Jimmy Horn, has speed, he's shifty, he got that wiggle ability, can cut on a dime and really cause problems for defensive backs. NFL scouts are definitely looking at Lajohntay Wester. He is no joke. He is no one to underestimate. Here's a scouting report on Lajohntay Wester, okay? Now, the NFL draft projections for him, everybody, is that they're seeing him as a late day 2, maybe round 2 or round 3, early day, maybe third round. And they see him as, if he does get picked late in this NFL draft coming up, they see it as between the 4th and 7th round. I don't think he's going to go in the 4th or the 7th round. I think because of his speed, because speed is the killer. Speed is what the NFL desires out of their receivers, especially if you're a smaller receiver. And of course, Lajohntay Wester will have to put on some weight. Obviously, he'll have to put on some weight, everybody, get a little bit bigger. But once they get him into an NFL program, they'll put more weight on him. They'll get him stronger, right? But what he brings, which is why his draft stock could go up, just like Jimmy Horn, is because both him and Jimmy Horn possess something that's very important. They're versatile. They not only can line up as receivers, particularly in the slot, but now in the NFL, you can play them. They can be punt returners, kickoff returners. Because of their speed and dynamicness, that's what teams are going to be looking for as well. So I'm going to say it again. They see him as a guy. Lajohntay Wester is someone who could be a late 2nd round pick on day 2, right? A late pick between round 2 and 3. He could go as early as day 3. It is late as round 4 through 7, but I don't think that's going to happen. Lajohntay Wester could be a steal on day 3 for any NFL team. Wester is an excellent receiver option and can make plays in the return game, as I said before, everybody. He could come off the board if he performs well at the scouting combine. So he is someone who has been invited to perform at the scouting combine. I think Jimmy Horn as well. I'm very excited to see what they're going to do. Like I said, everybody, the schedule for the NFL draft, NFL combine, should I say, is that on day one, on March 1st, that's when I'm going to be doing some scouting myself, and I will be doing a show hopefully on that day. That's going to be a Saturday. I'm going to be looking at what these players do because March 1st, again, is the quarterbacks. It's the, if I'm not mistaken, the receivers. I believe it may be the offensive linemen, receivers, and I think running backs and things of that nature. And I believe March 1st is the day that they're also going to bring out the defensive backs. I'm primarily going to be scouting to see what Shedeur does as a quarterback, and then I want to scout and see what Shilo Sanders doesn't look like he's going to be at the combine. He'll have a pro day, but I specifically want to see our receivers. I want to see what Lajohntay Wester does. I want to see what Travis Hunter does. I want to see what Jimmy Horn Jr. does, particularly what they do. If Travis Hunter participates, I think he should at least participate in that 40 time because that could tell you a lot. But I specifically want to see the 40 time of Jimmy Horn Jr., the 40 time of Lajohntay Wester, Jimmy Horn Jr., and if Travis Hunter does decide to participate, definitely want to see what his 40 time is going to be. I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to all play itself out. That's what I'm talking about, everybody. So let me right now show you why the scouts think that Wester could be a pick in the second round, late second round, maybe mid third round, somewhere in there potentially. Let me show you why they believe that he could be the real deal and be picked up early like that. Check this out. Check it out. Look at that movement. So you see, he's shifty, y'all. He's shifty. Once again, I can see Lajohntay Wester is being someone at the NFL level. He will be a guy that they'll put in the slot. He'll play a slot receiving role, which I think could cause some matchup problems with his speed, with his shiftiness, putting him in the slot. He'll go to a team that's got some experience as a football program, a winning program, which will give him time to develop. I think I'm going to make this prediction. I think we're going to hear about Lajohntay Wester on Sunday. I think his name is going to ring out in the NFL because I think if he goes to the right team and they utilize him properly in their receiving game, put him in that slot, let him do some damage because that's the kind of damage that he's been doing in college. I think he can be very successful with what he brings to the table, y'all. You see? Do you agree with me? I think he's going to bring a lot to the table. I'm very excited for these young men, to be able to show their skills. These young men have been waiting to get to the NFL level of football, of their profession. And so I just think it would be great if all these guys get picked up. Remember, Shedeur Sanders on his birthday, he gave a birthday wish. And what was that birthday wish? We all witnessed that on I think on his YouTube channel, on Well Off Media as well. He said that his birthday wish is that all of his teammates that are eligible to play professional football, that he wishes that they all get picked up in the draft. What's going on, Tad Show? Deion's getting this many kids drafted out of Colorado while his whole team is getting good grades in school. Well, that's what we want to see. We want them to do well in school. I appreciate that. Mr. Brian Johnson says, I feel 7 players get drafted. 7 players get drafted. Okay. I can see that happening. So, as I said, Shedeur is wishing them all to get drafted. I can see that very well happening, Mr. Johnson, that all these guys get picked up one way or another. So what I want to do, and I'm sure everybody's going to do the same thing, is that I want to follow what happens. Like I said, on March 1st, I'm very excited about March 1st because that's going to be on a Saturday at 1 p.m. You can watch this on NFL Channel. They're going to have like I said, they're going to be working out the quarterbacks, the running backs, the wide receivers. I'm excited because that's going to give me a chance to see what Jimmy Horn and Jimmy Horn Jr. and Lajohntay Wester, how they go about doing their business. So I want to be able to see their 40 times because I want to document all of that. And then I want to be able to do a show to talk to you all about what your thoughts are about their combine numbers. Because that's where you're going to get the rumors about what teams are interested in them. And then when they have their pro day, that's going to be, like I said, that's going to be very revealing about the teams that potentially are looking to draft them. And why that's important, because that will tell you where they could get drafted based on the teams that are looking at them and where that particular team will be drafting in this draft, meaning what round that they're going to be drafting, right? So that can also give us some insight into where they could possibly get picked up. But don't sleep on Wester because they're already predicting that he could be a steal as a receiver on the 3rd day for a team. And like I said, there's a lot of teams. My favorite team is the 49ers. God, do we need speed? God, do we need a couple more receivers that can stretch the field? So I'm kind of hoping that my 49ers snatch up someone like a Wester or someone like a Jimmy Horn Jr. 49ers are picking 11th. So they're picking in the 11th slot of each round. So, and I know the 49ers are one of those teams in the NFL, like many other teams, of course, who do a pretty good job at picking up free agents, guys that didn't get drafted in the draft. And so you got to remember, there has been a lot of guys that were not drafted in the NFL, but got picked up as free agents, and they turned into great players in the NFL. So I'm looking forward to everything that could possibly happen, everybody. I want to thank everybody for watching the show tonight. Appreciate you. Let me do this. Let me read a couple of things that you're saying in the chat room before I end the program tonight. We got Ted, the show says this. Deion is the kind of coach every parent should want their kids to play for. I would agree. Ted said this again. Deion's getting these many kids drafted out of Colorado while his whole team is getting good. Yeah, I had read that earlier. What's going on, Jeffrey Bay? Jeffrey Bay, good to see you over here. Jeffrey Bay says, Wester has agility, speed, and will be drafted in 3rd or 4th round. I'm going to say that he could be a late 3rd round pick, but we'll see. Like I said, if these guys have an outstanding NFL combine and the teams are talking about them and they're buzz all over the damn combine about them, and then they turn around and follow it up with an even greater pro day, anything can happen. My man Keith, who gave me the super chat earlier, which I really appreciated, said that Ted, the show, the dysfunctional, the hater for Coach Prime is strong, brother. Oh my God. Don't be, there's a lot of hate for Coach Prime. We don't want to see any hate on Coach Prime. Ted Show says this, the 40 time is misleading. Not for receivers. I mean, let me just say this. You're right. The 40 time for certain players. Look. Jerry Rice did not run a 420, a 430, or 440, right? But he ended up being a great receiver, the best, right? That's true. But the 40 time as a receiver, when it comes to the NFL draft, it could actually increase your draft stock. It could actually cause you to get drafted higher. You see what the Kansas City Chiefs did when they got that guy out of Texas, the young rookie. You see what he's doing. Came out of Texas. He had speed. Also, you can't teach speed. Secondly, the way the NFL is today, you need a guy who doesn't run a great 40 time. He might have other intangibles, meaning he might be good at catching the ball. He might be good at yards after the catch, which would be the yak, right? There's some guys that can catch the ball, make plays. They're shifty, but they don't have speed. Now, let me use my 49ers, for example. You see that Debo is in a situation now where he's looking for a trade. How many teams are going to pay Debo big money knowing that Debo, he can break tackles, he's hard to bring down, but he's injury prone. And another problem with Debo is that he has issues with his weight, which is slowing him down, and he doesn't get separation. We're in an era of football and pro football where you have to have one or two receivers on your team that can get separation. If you can't get separation, you're going to have a hard time, and you're just going to have a hard time. So Jimmy Horn and Lajohntay Wester having speed is going to help them at the NFL level, because these scouts in the NFL, they want to see not only what you do with the ball when you catch it, can you break tackles, can you get more yak, but they want to see if you go up against press coverage, man-to-man press coverage. Can you handle, because they do a lot of press coverage in the NFL as well as zoning, but can you handle press coverage and not get off of your routes, and at the same time be disciplined in your routes but get separation from the defender? The only thing that can do that is a guy who's got speed and knows how to utilize his speed. That's all I'm saying. Everybody, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. I appreciate you all coming over and participating in the chat room. I appreciate you all. Let me give you a clap. Thank you. And check this out. I'll see you very soon, because I'm going to do another show, hopefully going into this weekend, maybe on Sunday, or no, probably what I'm going to do is try to do a show on Monday. I'll see what I can do. And maybe I can do some uploaded videos, because there's a whole bunch of other topics that I want to talk about to you all. But I really appreciate you all being here. I'm looking forward to the NFL draft. I'm looking forward to seeing the pro day at CU. I'm looking forward to seeing where these guys are going to go. I appreciate your support tonight. Thank you for coming over. Keith, thank you for the super chat again, man. You've been awesome. Everybody in the chat room has been awesome. And sometimes when I go live, I get most of my views after the fact of the live stream, because a lot of people like to watch the replay. So I want to say to everybody that watches the replay of this channel, of this program, Prime Sports Media, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel, hanging in there with this channel. Make sure you share this video in all your social media. Share this video in if you're a part of a CU fan page or some type of Facebook sports page or whatever, drop this in that page. tell some people about the channel, the Prime Sports Media channel. If you got Facebook as well, go over and follow me on the Facebook page. I think I got like 87,000 people over there on that Facebook page. It's called Prime Sports Media, and you can follow it. You can give support over there as well, because on that page, I put more video clips on there that I'm able to put on there. Another thing too, you can follow me on Twitter or X or whatever we call it, X, I believe, at Prime Sports Media. But what's becoming very popular right now is another site called Blue Sky. I do have Prime Sports Media Blue Sky page, so you can follow me on Blue Sky. Another thing that I need to start doing, I've said this, but so much stuff going on in one's life, you know, you do the best you can, because we all have personal lives. I have a radio style podcast to this channel, and I desperately need to upload new content weekly on that podcast. And when I produce that radio style podcast, I'll be dropping it in the community tab and what have you, and sending it to various social media platforms. That podcast will not be a repeat of what I'm doing on the YouTube podcast. It'll be a separate podcast, still talking about issues surrounding CU. So it'll be a radio podcast where maybe I can go a little bit deeper about issues and bring certain issues to your attention. You can find me on Spotify on that at Prime Sports Media. You can find it on Spreaker. You can find it on all the podcasting platforms and what have you. So everybody, thank you. Again, I'm going to get ready to end the show. Tell somebody that you love them. Tell somebody that you care about them. And you know what? CU is going to have a great team in 2025. These players that I just named tonight, they're going to get an opportunity to play at the NFL level. I'm excited. I know you're excited about it. We'll see how this all pans out. And we got another thing I want to say before I go. I think we got another good one as a defensive line coach. I think he's going to work out just fine, everybody. Everybody take care. If you're coming into the video a little late, watch it from the beginning, because I do talk about this gentleman right here who is going to be the new, Peko is going to be the new, or is the new defensive line coach. This man has years of experience as a defensive tackle at the NFL level. He was recently, as I said earlier in this podcast, a coach. He was coaching with the Dallas Cowboys, and now he is the replacement for Brother Lewis, who is now going to Miami to coach at the school that he played his college football. I have respect for him because he really helped our defensive line this past year. But I think that given that we're unfortunately losing Lewis, I think we'll be in good hands with this man right here. He was a beast of a player at defensive tackle. I think Coach Prime is continuing to make good decisions, bringing in guys who have NFL playing experience as well as coaching experience as well. This is fantastic. Everybody have a great night. Thank you, everybody.